We had earlier noted the four components listed in Vayikra Perek 13 and 14 regarding the tzarat. The first two, the diagnosis and the treatment, applied to all three situations where a tzarat could be found, namely the skin, the clothing, and the housing. The responsibility of these first two were handled by the Kohen. The third process involving the two birds, the scarlet wool, the branch from a cedar tree, and the clump of hyssop, applied to a tzaras that surfaced in a house or upon the skin. And finally, the atonement, which involved the bringing of two korbanot, a chatat and a nasha. This stage only applied to the tzarat of the body. Returning now to the Sikha, the Rebbe proceeds to identify three subtle nuances with respect to the way this information is presented in the Chumash, and in particular with respect to tzarat of the body. As noted, Perek 13, Parshat Tazriyah, contains information regarding the diagnosis and the treatment of the tzarat, while the tahara and atonement requirements are located in Vayikra Perek Yudalad, Parshat Mitzorah, and is sandwiched between the halachot relating to tzarat of clothing and tzarat of the home in which one lives, which begs the question that surely it would have been more logical to have kept all the laws regarding the tzarat of the body together, as is the case with respect to a tzarat that is found in a building, where the entire process of diagnosis, treatment, and tahara are recorded sequentially in Vayikra Perek 14. Why then, the Rebbe asks, is the tahara process for tzarat of the body located between tzarat of the clothing and tzarat involving a building? Furthermore, if there is some reason for splitting the four components of the tzarat of the skin, once again, surely it would appear to be more logical to have lumped the first two stages of the three categories of tzarat together, the diagnosis and the treatment, and only then, because of the need to split the situation of tzarat involving the body into two segments, then the tahara and the atonement should have then be placed as an addendum to the laws of tzarat. Thirdly, each of the three situations of tzarat involves a diagnosis and a treatment. However, the tahara only applies to tzarat of the body and that of the buildings, which would suggest a link between these two categories. What then, asks the Rebbe, is the link between tzarat of the building and that of the body, in that the tzarat of the building is bracketed by the two components of tzarat of the body. It is preceded by the diagnosis and the treatment, and is followed with the tahara and the atonement. Summing up the three issues regarding the presentation of information. Firstly, there is a problem with the grouping for tzarat of the body, in that the information is split. The first two are recorded in Vayikra Perek 13, Parshat Tazriyah, whereas the tahara and the atonement is moved into the first half of Vayikra Perek 14, Parshat Mitzorah. A second issue that needs to be looked at is that, assuming there was a reason for the splitting of the two components, a far more intuitive presentation would have been to link the diagnosis and the treatment common to all three categories sequentially, and then present information regarding the tahara and the atonement of tzarat of the body. By implication, there would appear to be a link between the tahara of the body with the tahara of buildings. And thirdly, given the fact there is some commonality between the tzarat of the body and that of the building, in what way does the tahara of the building differ to that of the body? In that it also requires an atonement, the bringing of korbanot.